All right. So it looks like it is 7:35 and we're going to go ahead and open up tonight for our Avon Grove Strategic Planning Committee meeting. I hope everyone's having a good evening. I hope you guys had time to look over our October the 10th meeting notes that were actually in our board doc online. We're going to go ahead and see, did anyone have any questions, concerns, or corrections about our September meeting minutes?
No, I don't have any concerns or corrections.
Okay, well, as today's October the 10th, we're going to go ahead and get started with our October meeting. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Brian.
So the first agenda point was to review the enrollment report that's going to be before the board next week, which is a standing agenda item for the group moving forward. So the enrollment period for the end of September, we were sitting at 1908 as our current active enrollment. We had 22 offers out to students that we were still waiting on them to accept or decline the offer of enrollment, as well as 9 who have already accepted, and we were waiting on them to finish their registration paperwork and set a start date. So while the end of month period shows that we are 22 students under budget, we actually had 31 students sort of working through the pipeline of the application and registration process. For the month of September, we had 14 student withdrawals. That starts to include our 10-day no-show students from the beginning of the year that we were unable to secure a withdrawal form for over the summer, as well as backfilling 17 new student enrollments for the month of September. Through the month of September, we I have, this is the final time that I would have a prior year comparison for applications up to the date from the 2022 enrollment period. So in total application submissions year over year, we're at 167 applications, an increase of 167 applications from the previous year. Applications were increased or stayed the same in all grade levels except for 5th grade, which was just 2 under than the previous year. I think the bigger one to point out is our kindergarten number, that we have 243 kindergarten applications this year compared to 197 the prior year. And we had talked about that, about coming off of COVID and what our kindergarten numbers were going to look like, as well as our active enrollment in 1st grade. And with our active, we were able to get our active enrollment in 1st grade back up to our budget enrollment number. And then as of the end of September, we still had 273 students sitting across wait lists in every, with a wait list of at least 1 student in every grade level. The majority of those falling within that, as you can see by the table, the 6th to sort of 7th grade, or 2nd to 7th grade level bands. So again, this is the report that'll be presented to the board next week at the public board meeting. Any questions, comments about those numbers? All right. Then for tonight, what we're going to do for the rest of the time is dive into some of the essential practices for school survey data that we had been talking about in our previous meetings, that we had distributed to our staff and students and parents as part of our upcoming or current comprehensive planning process. So I had attached a number of documents and information to the calendar invite for tonight. I also condensed everything and put it into the shared document that I just put back into the chat. So you can access everything that you would need there. Tonight we have 18 people. So 19, Drew's popping in. So I think what we'll do is I'm gonna cut out, just for the sake of the size of our group, the year-over-year parent satisfaction feedback results. That's something that we do every year. We've reviewed it as an administrative team already, but I think that our time and based on the group size numbers would be better to have 4 groups this evening as opposed to 5. So what included in that document is the raw results of each of the surveys that you can access if you want to look at the raw data. And there is also a link at the top that will take you to a Tableau dashboard that has condensed, categorized, and allows the viewer to filter the survey data. So you have the survey data from the parent feedback survey, the student feedback survey, the staff feedback surveys, and then the school evaluation forms that were sent out to our staff. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to break up into those 4 groups. And then each group is going to have some time to kind of look through the questions that were asked, the question results. The questions have been already grouped into common themes across the top. So I'll show you students. There's academic attitude, preparation, classroom engagement. So each of these has a few questions. So I've already grouped those in thematically. So you can go through, and the comprehensive planning process has the planning committee look at this information and then complete a SWOT analysis. We've all probably done them before, but if you haven't, a SWOT analysis is looking at the survey results and then having discussions and coming up with what are strength areas based on the data and the feedback, what are weaknesses that you might see, or things that we're not doing too well in, what are opportunities that you might deduce from the survey feedback and the information, and what are some potential threats or obstacles that you see that could prevent the school from meeting its mission via that survey data information. So when we break up into groups, you'll have access to that survey dashboard to kind of discuss and talk amongst the group and spend some time looking at. And then as a group to discuss and fill out your breakout group SWOT analysis sheet. So you don't need to write a book, but what are some of the things that stand out to you as strengths? What are some of the weaknesses? Is there a particular area that didn't score very well? Is there opportunities or threats? And then I'll take all of these and compile them together, and then we will be reviewing this committee's feedback on the survey data as an administrative team as we begin to form and have discussions about what are the two major goal areas that we need to focus on and write coming out of this analysis. So any questions about the directions for the next 35, 40 minutes of time we have tonight? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually start just moving you to some of the breakout rooms that have already been created. So when you get into your breakout room, it's named one of these 4 table areas. That'll be the data that you'll look at as a group. and then the document that you would sort of work on and fill out as you're sort of discussing what you see in the data. So I will stop sharing and start moving everybody. And once you're in your room, you can start looking at that and start your discussions. I'm going to be jumping from the rooms so that if there's any questions, I can help answer and then participate across. And then I'll bring everybody back towards the end of our scheduled meeting time.
Brian, will the recording the YouTube live do a certain group? It's your
No, it'll stay in the main room until we all come back.
Got it. Okay.
All right, all the rooms have been opened and you've been assigned, so you can hit join and head down into your rooms. All right, so everyone's starting to head back to the main room. All right, it looks like we have everybody back. So again, I with it being 8:30, I want to not necessarily do the can somebody from each group report out their things, and be respectful of everybody's evening. You have access to all of those, obviously the dashboard data and the SWOT documents. If you want to take some time and look through those on your own, that's perfectly okay. If there's something that stands out with you with the data that you want to add to somebody else's SWOT document, feel free to do that as well. But what we'll do now is, as an administrative team, look over, and many of us were here tonight, but look over each of those and then start to condense and look at themes, because part of the comprehensive plan process is having to report or include in our report lists of strengths and challenges and opportunities related to this data. So we do have to pull some of these things out and include them in our report. So again, I appreciate everybody's time this evening and the discussion that you had in your groups. Again, that's available to you if you want to poke around and continue to look at. And then what we'll do is come back in November. There's going to be other activities in November, and then I'll do a recap of the discussions and the information that we pull out as an administrative team as our focus from all the feedback that you gave tonight. So any questions or concerns with that moving forward? Great. Then I think the next agenda item is just pointing out that our next meeting is Monday, November 13th. So that is a day before we're typically scheduled because of the conflict with our monthly board meeting. That was moved up to Tuesday, the 14th. So again, the meeting in November will be on that Monday instead of Tuesday. And then that's all I've got, Charity.
All right. So at this time, I would like to just thank everyone for attending and coming out and taking the time out of your evening to really evaluate the surveys and help the school in this way. So do note that, like Brian said, our next meeting will be that November the 13th. And at this moment, I would like to adjourn the meeting. You all have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.